Have you ever felt like your heart was being pulled in two different directions? Like you were standing at a crossroads, and no matter which path you chose, someone would get hurt. That's exactly where I found myself, a place I never imagined I'd be. My story starts with Michael. He's my husband, my high school sweetheart, the man I built my life with. Our love was once a fairy tale. We were the couple everyone looked up to, the ones who seemed to have it all figured out. We bought a beautiful house, planted a garden, and dreamed of growing old together on our front porch swing. Michael is kind, he's steady, he's my rock. He knows how I take my coffee, the silly way I laugh when I'm tired, and the exact spot on my back that needs a rub after a long day. He's home. But over the years, the vibrant colors of our love story started to fade into a comfortable, predictable sepia tone. The passionate conversations turned into quiet dinners. Our shared adventures became weekend errands. The fire didn't die out. It just settled into a low, gentle ember. I loved him, I truly did, but I started to feel a part of myself. The adventurous, spontaneous part was slowly going to sleep. I convinced myself this was just what long-term love looked like. This was maturity. This was real life. Then, Daniel walked in. He was a new colleague at work, a photographer who had traveled the world. He was everything Michael wasn't. Where Michael was calm and predictable, Daniel was a whirlwind of energy and new ideas. He talked about hiking in the Andes, sailing through the Greek islands, and capturing sunrises in remote deserts. His eyes lit up when he spoke, and in them I saw a reflection of the girl I used to be, the one who dreamed of adventure before settling down. Our friendship started innocently. We'd grab coffee and talk about work. But soon our conversations drifted to dreams, fears, and the what-ifs of life. With Daniel, I felt seen in a way I hadn't in years. He didn't just see the wife, the homeowner, the responsible adult. He saw the woman with a restless spirit, the one who still yearned for the unknown. He reawakened a part of me I thought was long gone. The guilt was a constant, heavy blanket. Every time I laughed at one of Daniel's jokes, or found myself daydreaming about a life of adventure with him, a sharp pang of betrayal would hit me. I'd go home to Michael, see him tending to our garden or waiting for me with dinner, and my heart would ache. He was a good man. He didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve a wife who was secretly fantasizing about another life, another man. I was living a double life, not of actions, but of the heart. My days were filled with the electric charge of my connection with Daniel, a thrilling escape from my routine. My nights were filled with the quiet comfort of my life with Michael and the crushing weight of my emotional infidelity. I was torn between the man who was my safe harbor and the man who represented the open sea. One was my past and present. The other was a tempting, forbidden future. The guilt became unbearable. I'd look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. Who was this woman, so full of conflict and secret desires? This wasn't me. I had always prided myself on my honesty and loyalty. Now my heart was a traitor. One evening, Michael found me crying quietly in the living room. He wrapped his arms around me, his familiar scent a comfort and a torment. He asked what was wrong, and for a moment, I considered telling him everything. But how could I? How could I shatter the world of this man who had only ever shown me love and devotion? How do you tell your home that you've been dreaming of leaving? I realized then that I wasn't just caught between two men. I was caught between two versions of myself, the loyal wife I was supposed to be and the restless woman I was becoming. The desire for something new was battling the guilt of betraying something precious. It was Daniel who unintentionally gave me clarity. He announced he was taking a job overseas, another grand adventure. He asked me with a hopeful look in his eyes what my next adventure would be. And in that moment I knew. My adventure wasn't about running away with him. It was about finding myself again, right where I was. The problem wasn't Michael, and it wasn't Daniel. The problem was me. I had lost myself in the comfort of my marriage. I had stopped nurturing my own dreams, expecting my partner to be my entire world. It wasn't fair to him, and it wasn't fair to me. That night, I didn't confess about Daniel. Instead, I confessed about my own feelings of being lost. I talked to Michael, really talked, for the first time in years. I told him I felt like a part of me was missing, that I missed the adventure we used to share. I braced myself for confusion or anger, but instead, he listened. He looked at me, his eyes full of the same love they'd always held, and said, "Then let's go find it. Together." It wasn't a magic fix. It was the beginning of a long, difficult, but beautiful journey. We started small. We took a spontaneous weekend trip. We tried a new restaurant. We started dancing in the kitchen again. We began to rediscover not just each other, but the individuals we were within the marriage. I enrolled in a pottery class, something I'd always wanted to do. Michael started building a boat in our garage, a dream he'd put on hold. My connection with Daniel was a wake-up call. It showed me what was missing, not from my marriage, but from my own life. It forced me to confront the uncomfortable truth that I was responsible for my own happiness and fulfillment. You can't expect another person to be your entire adventure. Sometimes the greatest adventure is rediscovering the love that's been there all along, and learning to love and challenge yourself within it. My story isn't about choosing between two men. It's about choosing myself. It's about understanding that love isn't about losing yourself in another person, but about two whole people choosing to walk their individual paths side by side. The desire for something new doesn't have to be a betrayal. It can be an invitation to grow. And the guilt? It was a compass, pointing me back not to a person, but to the commitment I had made, not just to my husband, but to the woman I promised myself I would always be. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If you've ever felt lost in a relationship or in your own life, know that you're not alone. Sometimes the way forward is to look within. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more stories. See you next time.